So guys, there was the process that I used to clean the blocks and get everything going in kind of a timely manner. You know, I take it to work, I pressure wash it, degrease it. The one thing I didn't show you is I pulled all the oil plugs out. I pulled the dumbbell out of the back of this. I have a new dumbbell ordered that's aluminum. I don't like the plastic one. And I cleaned out all the oil passages. So this motor was completely sludged over. That was actually the second time this block had been cleaned because it was so bad when I got it. This was a $50 motor. Right now with all the bearings and everything, having the crank turned, I got less than $400 in it, and that'll be a complete short block, not including the camshaft though, I guess. But the cylinders have all been honed out and everything, so it should be good to go. So everything is nice and clean. I mean, we wiped it down, I've cleaned it. The bearings we're going to be using are King bearings. These are 10 under bearings because the crank was turned. This is what everybody seems to like and use. I'm used to Clevite. So we're going to get started. I'm going to go through the process that I do. It might not be the same as everybody else's, but it's just how I do things. So here it is, guys. Everything's been nice and clean. That's one thing you got to make sure you do is clean everything really good. I mean, I've wiped it out, blown all the stuff out of everything, all the oil galleys. And so now we're going to go ahead and start sticking the bearings in. One thing you have to make sure you do is when you get these brand new bearings, they have a coating on them, like oil or I'm not really sure, film or something. Make sure you take some brake clean, wipe them down, make sure everything is nice and clean. The main thing about a motor when you put it together is you want to make sure everything is nice and clean. You don't want debris in there while you're trying to assemble. I burned through a whole lot of paper towels and brake clean trying to make sure that this is nice and clean. And as you can tell, there's not a lot to this. I mean, make sure you have the right bearings, make sure you clean everything really good. Now all the bearings are in. We're going to go ahead and get some assembly lube on these bearings so we can sit the crank down in there. And I'm using some assembly lube I've never used before. It's whatever this stuff is. It's the only thing I could actually find locally. I highly recommend getting Lucas. That's what I normally use. Is Lucas assembly lube. But unfortunately I was not able to find it at all locally. So I had to use what I can get. Now, does it really matter? Probably not. I've got a buddy who assembles his motors with Lucas oil stabilizer, and it works just fine. I've got other people that use white grease and trans fluid. I mean, it's just kind of all what you want to use. So I make sure everything is coated really good. That's your thrust bearing. You want to make sure there's definitely something on those thrust bearings when you go to stick this down in there, because you can tear up a thrust bearing really easy. Make sure everything's nice and coated. And once it's all coated, I'll clean my gloves off, and I will sit the crank down in there. I've already wiped the crank down from the machine shop, even though it was really already cleaned. And yes, guys, I do wear gloves 90% of the time, and I definitely wear them when I'm building motors. It's just something I do to keep my hands clean while I'm building, because I can switch them if I need to. But we're going to go ahead and get the crank sitting down in there. There we go. All right. So here it is, guys. Here's where we're at right now. I went ahead and stuck the bearings in the main caps, and we're to the point where we need to stick the main caps in it and start getting them torqued down. Now, something I will suggest, if you're building engines, I always buy a book. It's more or less just reassurance. It gives you all the torque specs and everything else, so it's just more or less so I don't have to keep getting online and making sure I got the right torque specs. But right now we're going to start putting the main caps in. All your main caps are numbered, and there is a certain way they are supposed to go in. So the way I do this is probably not the way everybody else does it, but I always use a small mallet. You can run them down with the bolts. I see a lot of people do that. I'm not a big fan of that. So this is how I do it. I just kind of tap them in lightly. Make sure everything's pretty much lined up. And you can hear it when it hits that it's bottomed out. You don't need to keep hitting it or nothing like that. So all your numbers go on this side besides number 5. Number 5, the number is actually on the opposite side. So that's just something to remember. And, you know, and if you're taking it apart, you'll kind of see some of that stuff. But just in case you didn't pay attention, you just yanked it apart, or anything like that. Alright, so I'm not really sure why these two were being a pain, but they went down in there after a second. Some people ain't gonna like this, but sorry, that's how I do it. I don't run them down tight or nothing, just kind of get the bolts down in there. So I'm not sitting here trying to run them in by hand. Those are different size. So get them all ran down, then we'll start getting them torqued. Let's see. So we'll talk about the torque spec real quick, and then I'm just gonna do it so that y'all don't have to sit here and take forever. So these inner bolts right here, according to the book, which is what I seem to always go by, some people don't. These inner bolts are 15 pounds, the first pass. These outer bolts are 15 pounds, the first pass. Now in the final pass, second pass, these, you go 80 degrees on the inner bolts. On the outer ones, you go 51 to 53. So 15 first pass, 80 degrees on the inner, 51 to 53 on the outer, and that's what the book says, and that's what we're going to do. These are torque to yield, so you do have to have a torque to yield torque wrench. I do have a snap-on one, but I've actually got buddies that just do it by poundage, and they have figured out a solution to it. One other thing I'm probably going to do is something that I always do is I take a Sharpie, and after I do them, I mark those that I've done them, and or just mark them all before you can. But after that first pass, I go ahead and mark every bolt, and then I know that after I do my 80 degree and my 51 to 53 degree torque, it'll let me know by where the mark is at if they're all torqued down, make sure I didn't miss one. So we're gonna do that too. With that, let me get this started, and I'm just gonna go ahead and do it so you guys don't have to watch forever. There it is, guys. That's the crankshaft installed, everything torqued down. Something I didn't tell you is the side bolts are 18 foot-pounds. I just went ahead and did it, you know. It might not be the exact way everybody else does it. There might be people critique me or whatever, but that's the way I do it. I've built quite a few engines and they seem to all work now. I've only done a few LS's, so we'll see. But it's all torqued, everything's spinning nice and freely. But with that, guys, this is the crank completely installed. So if you need to know how to install your crank to specs, now you know. This is how I do it. This is how I would recommend. But I'm going to go ahead and cut this video short. The next video is going to be file fitting the rings, installing them, what I recommend as far as file fitting goes. It should be about it. I mean, we're going to install the timing chain stuff too and the oil pump, but I'm actually going to shim the oil pump and I'll show you why we're doing that. But as of right now, I'm gonna cut this one off. Guys, like, subscribe. I'm gonna keep the videos going. If you got suggestions on something to make the channel better, what you would like to see more of, let me know. We got a lot more content coming. I'm hopefully in the next couple months we'll get the car back together. Tomorrow we're going for a cruise in my 88. You will see that on here. We're gonna be filming. So I got a lot to edit. So you'll see a lot of videos coming out pretty quick. But with that, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get this one off and start on the next one for you all, so y'all can watch on how to file fit the rings and or at least how I do it. So with that, guys, I appreciate it. We've grown quick. Means a lot to me. Thank you. Till next time.